Hello, my name is Urvish Rana and today I'm gonna presenting on a security, privacy and trust in a modern day IoT applications. So today in this presentation we will take a look at the following topics: IoT introduction, then IoT in a day-to-day life from home to industry, then we will take a look at what is the security and a privacy and a trust in a context of IoT. Then we will take a brief idea about what is the IoT architecture, and then we will take a look in a layered architecture. Then we will assess the security and privacy concerns that are present at each level of layered architecture. Then we will talk about trust management and we will conclude the presentation. So this is our first section in IoT introduction. In this section we will understand what is IoT and we'll understand the formal definition of it. Now, to start with the IoT introduction, the Internet of Things can be defined as the network of interconnected objects that are heterogeneous and people providing the service, sharing data in order to fulfill tasks in a various application. IoT is a very IoT is a growing at a very fast rate, allowing daily objects to be a part of internet. These objects are called smart objects, which has some sort of intelligence attached to the objects. The primary aim of IoT is to reform our daily lives and mutate our way of performing various tasks. There are various applications of IoT ranging from household to industrial. One of the great example of this is the connected home, where you can control the HVAC systems, kitchen appliances, doors, and windows by either using a smart device like Google Home or Alexa or straight from your phone. Now, our next section is we will talk about how IoT is changing day to day life. In this section, we will see that what are some applications of IoT, the economic impact of the IoT, and application domains of the IoT applications. As we discussed in above section, it has been proven that IoT can automate daily tasks or repetitive tasks in a very efficient manner. That's the main reason behind the increase of the application of IoT ranging from house to industry. As you can see from the pie chart that IoT is being used highest in the healthcare and manufacturing compared to any other application domains. The other domains are electricity, smart city, security, resource extension, agriculture, vehicle technology, and retail. Now, let us look at the impact of IoT. As it can see from the table, the growth of installing IoT is increasing day by day. In consumer service, in 2016, there are only 4,000 IoT devices that are installed. Compared to that, in 2020, there are more than 12,800 devices are being installed on consumer services, and which is almost 30 30 times more than a previous year. It can be observed that there are more than 20k devices are installed totally across the domain. And here is the breakdown of how much amount of money has been spent on IoT device each year. These figures are projected in 2019. Now, as we understood that IoT is being heavily used in a consumer based products compared to any other division. Also, IoT is mostly used in health and manufacturing. It is very vital to understand the security, privacy, and trust in context of IoT. First, understand what is the security in IoT. It necessary to provide a secure connection between IoT endpoints. The loss of vital data in a health application can result into losing a precious life. The primary goal is to provide an authentication mechanism to prevent any possible attack that compromises the availability of availability and integrity of the system. One of the primary requirements for the IoT is to ensure the availability of data at all time of at the all time for the authorized user. Privacy and trust. Privacy and trust both are very important since we are collecting very confidential detail about a user, and some of the privacy controls should be given to the user directly. The more secure the system, the more privacy control are available to use, and more privacy established, better trust management in both application to user and application module to another module. Now that we have idea about IoT, we can take a deeper look into the components of IoT that creates the architecture of IoT. As of now, there are many IoT architecture are designed by the different standard authorities and industry leaders like Cisco. However, there are all the all the architecture has following components, namely sensor nodes or end nodes, gateway devices, networking devices, management devices, and the application. On the left hand, there is a data of the system, as it can observe that data has been directed from lower layer to the upper layer in the architecture. Each layer provides set of services that helps the flow of data in IoT system. For example, gateway network management service and sensor connectivity and networks. On the right hand side, we can see that there are set of protocols and control systems that are present in architecture, namely sensor network, Wi-Fi, WAN, data flow management, and device modeling. Now that we have a upper understanding of the IoT architecture, it is time to take a deep dive in a layered architecture of IoT. A typical IoT architecture at least has a three layers, namely perception, also known as sensor layer, middle layer, and application layer. Each layer provides a set of capabilities to the IoT system to function properly. As we can see, the perception layer uh, the perception layer contains the sensor which are connected to central device, also known as gateway. This sensor records data from the environment and transfer that data to the gateway using wired or wireless communication. There are some computation done on the gateway level that are like data filtering and authentication of a new devices. Furthermore, the data is transferred to the upper layer from the gateway, which is known as a middle layer. A middle layer provides a backbone network infrastructure to communicate the end device to the server or application. Furthermore, the server stores the data and applies the data science techniques to find a pattern and extract some valuable knowledge from it, where an intelligent system can take a smart decision. Now that we now to understand the architecture in a practically, let's take a simple example of a smart HVAC. So in a smart HVAC, what happens is there is a set of sensors that are present in the room, like a temperature sensor or a light sensor. So when a when a temperature sensor records the data, it will transmit the data to the gateway node. So at this level, the gateway node has only one thing to do, is to filter the data and also always send the necessary data to the above layer. So let's say if the room temperature is constantly at 20 degrees Celsius, then the gateway node won't be send any data to the upper layer. Now, if the room temperature drops below or above the 20, the gateway will send that data to the upper layer, so that using the middle layer architecture, the data will be travels to the database, and it will also provide it to the user. So based on that, a smart HVAC system using machine learning techniques and data science techniques, it can take a decision on itself, and it can pass the decision to the below layer, which passes further down to the gateway node, which has actuators that are connected to it, and it will actuate the actions on the device itself. Now that we have clear idea about the layer of IoT architecture, we can take a look at the security and privacy issues present at each level. Now, at the perception layer, there are many security concerns exist, but here I added only few which are common in the IoT applications. The security and privacy concern at the perception layers are node capture, fake node and malicious data, denial of service attack, and replay attack. Now, in a node capture, in this type of attack, attacker tries to take control of a node and eavesdrop the information from the system. Furthermore, attacker can also take a control of a network if he can take a control of a master node or a gateway node. The second type of security attack is fake node or malicious data. In this type of attack, the attacker tries to disrupt the availability of the system by introducing fake node and transmit the fake data from it. The third one is the denial of service attack. This is a very well known attack in which attacker carries out the denial of service of the system. The fourth one is a replay attack. In this attack, attacker keeps sending the same data to the receiver, which results in a loss of trust and authentication of a node from the network. So it basically remove one node by node from the network. At the middle layer, there are the following the most common issues exist, that are heterogeneity, scalability, data disclosure. Heterogeneity. One of the biggest challenge in IoT is having a different kind of device under one network becomes interoperability problem across the system. Different devices use different communication techniques and protocols. This produces a vulnerabilities in the system that attacker can easily get inside the system. Now the second one is scalability issue. As the demand of IoT devices is increasing day by day, there are issues in scalability of a device in one network. This results into many device connection and disconnection over time. This produces vulnerabilities in authentication and network congestion. Next is data disclosure. Using social engineering, the attacker can get the sensitive data from the networks, since the middle layer holds the lots of data, and there are so much amount of data is flowing inside the system, so attacker can easily get that data using the social engineering. So this should be taken care. Now, at the very top, application layer, the most commonly known issues are mutual authentication and node identification, information privacy, data management, application specific vulnerabilities. Now, in a mutual authentication and a node identification, each application in IoT has a different user base, and each user has a different privileges of the system. This introduces a problem of authentication and problem in access control of different user. Next is information privacy. In this, a user privacy should be ensured for each communication. Sometimes the techniques which are being used to process data might be vulnerable, which leads to data loss and over a long term harm can do the damages into the system. Next is the data management. Due to the huge data collection, the system complexity increases, which require a lot of resources and complex algorithm to manage data and may also result in a data loss. The next is application specific vulnerabilities. Uh, it is already existing vulnerabilities that were overlooked at the time of development of a application that are use as a IoT as a backend. To overcome above mentioned challenges, few changes have been expected in the IoT architecture. The security of IoT networks should be addressed by the communication protocol used at each layer rather than applying external security methods. One of the authentication techniques that are being used uh, is RFID authentication techniques that is securely incorporate heterogeneous devices into the network. RFID has a special kind of radio frequency attached to a device that can easily identified by the application so that no other devices can enter or exit in existing network. Also, there are new protocol has been introduced in each layer of the IoT architecture. At the application layer, two new protocol has been introduced, that is CoAP and MQTT, which secures end-to-end communication between application to application and application to middle layer. At middle layer, there are two more protocols has been introduced, that's 6LoWPAN and RPL for lossy and a low power network, which has a special capabilities assigned to them, which are useful for the devices which has a constraint resource, which is very useful in IoT applications. And at the perception layer, there is a standard IEEE 802.15.4 is been used in a many implementation like Zigbee and Thread. Now, trust management in IoT. Following goals should be achieved to enable the better trust between consumer and a system. The correlation and correction. Trust management enables the assessment of the degree of correlation and agreement between IoT nodes. It also helps them to reach at a consensus and cooperate with each other. Trust correlation assessment takes into account of all the entities present with within the IoT network at all the layers and plays a fundamental role. Knowledge apprehension. The trust management system should ensure reliable data transfer between nodes in the network. In order to achieve that, the system must ensure precision and preservance as well as efficient collection of data. The goal is generally achieved at the perception layer. Maintaining confidentiality. Trust management system must act in accordance with the policies in order to safeguard the privacy and confidentiality of the sensitive information which is transmitted within the IoT network. The trustworthy communication. Trust management system must ensure that the data flow and message passing within the network is secure from any threats. For this purpose, authorization, certificates, and key management are deployed to the control any malicious access in the network. The goal of the trust management is one of the fundamental security requirements of IoT development. Quality of service. The objective of a trust management system is mainly application specific. However, it requires support from the other layers too. Quality of service ensures that the service should provide to the right end user at the right time. Now to conclude, We have seen how Internet Things is becoming the big next thing in the world and how it's changing the model world around us. Then we covered the major security and privacy issues that are exist in IoT system. Furthermore, we understood that how IoT is maturing as a growing technology, and furthermore, we've seen that how the security, privacy, and trust issues are being handled in a modern world of IoT application. And these are the references that I have used to make this presentation. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.